What is up, farming family? How y'all doing today? Today, we are checking out 6-Zero's Ruby. This is the 14mm. It is a hybrid shaped paddle. It is made of pure Kevlar on the face. But yeah, I have a code with them. It's Farmer10. If you want a discount, you get 10% off at checkout. I will get a kickback from that. But yeah, the 6-Zero Ruby 16mm was crazy popular. They recently released the 14mm. We're going to get into all the stats, and I'm going to somewhat compare it to the 16mm. Even though I don't have the twist weight, the swing weights, and stuff like that, I've just got to play with other people's. But yeah, let's get into this review. Alright, so the first thing I want to talk about is the pop with this paddle. If you've played with the 6-Zero Ruby, you know it is a more softer feeling paddle. This is a 14mm. Usually with 14mm, you're upgrading in pop. So if you're wondering about this paddle and you have a Ruby 16, just know that this one is definitely poppier than the Ruby 16 is. But if I was to compare this to the Black Diamond 14mm, this one does not have anywhere near the pop that it does. I would definitely put it right in the middle of the road, in terms of pop from the Black Diamond 14 and the Ruby 16. Like if you're wanting something even poppier, I would go up to the Black Diamond 14, but if you're wanting something more plush, you should probably stick with the 16. The 14's definitely got some pop to it, but it's not like anything ridiculously crazy. And when it came to the power, you're sacrificing some power with this 14mm compared to the 16mm. The 16mm had a lot heavier swing weight than the 14mm. It had more plow through. You could get more, more power on the ball. But usually what happens is if you have more pop, you have less power. And if you have more power, you have less pop. That's not always the case, but that's how it generally goes with pickleball paddles. So if you're wanting a little bit more power compared to the two, I would go for the 16. But if you're wanting more pop oriented, I would go for the 14mm. In terms of control, this is definitely going to be a lot harder to control. The face is pretty stiff, which is what you expect, but the lack of control is going to make up for it in hand battles, countering, speed ups, stuff like that. So if you have the 16mm and you're struggling with those things and you think you can easily control a, stiffer feeling fat paddle, this one could be for you. Just know compared to the 16mm, it is not as controllable, but compared to the Black Diamond 14mm, it is definitely a lot easier to control. In terms of spin, it got 1989 RPMs. This puts it above the 1850 range that I always recommend people. It's above 1800 or 1850 up. You're going to be fine in terms of spin. There's not going to be any problems. At this point, most of these pill ply process paddles are going to have good spin unless something crazy and absurd is happening, that's causing it not to have it. But yeah, this has got really good spin at 1989. The swing weight of my Ruby was 112, which if you want hand speed, that win hand battles, counters, stuff like that, this 14mm may be an upgrade to you from the 16mm that we're using. I saw where most of the 16mm were varying anywhere from 115 to 118. So if you're lacking a little bit of hand speed and you feel like you need an upgrade, this one could definitely be it. Easily, you're going to be able to get it around. I don't see anyone that plays pickleball having problems swinging this paddle. And when it came to the overall weight of it, it was right at 8 ounces, like straight right at it. In terms of twist weight, it's got a 6.42 twist weight, which is pretty good for a 14mm. They know what they're doing when it comes to this hybrid shape. If you look at the twist weights of all their hybrid shape paddles, they've all got really good numbers. This is no different. This is a really good twist weight for a 14mm hybrid. And also when it comes to the sweet spot, it's got a good sweet spot. If you want a sweet spot very similar to the 16mm, you're going to have to let it up some. But just know the sweet spot is not good as it is on the 16mm. So if you're wanting to achieve that, lead will definitely have to be applied, and that will increase the swing weight up to about where the 16mm was. So you'll eventually have the swing weight of the 16mm with a little bit of extra pop of the 14 if you slap lead on the bad boy. When it comes to the value for this paddle, it's $199. Okay, as I know of, it is the only 14mm that is a pure Kevlar paddled face. So is it worth it? Yeah, it's reaching a niche that none of these other paddles are reaching. And then on top of that, if you're a Ruby 16 user, you want quicker hand speed and extra pop, and you don't plan on using lead, I would invest in this. This is definitely an upgrade in terms of pop and hand speed. But yeah, overall, it's a really good paddle. When I first started playing with it, there's no lie to tell. I played with it a few games and I was like, oh, I'm not sure how I'm going to feel about this. And then I switched to 2 or 3 more paddles and then I played with this some more. And I was like, okay, I got used to it. I could take this to a tournament. I could play with it. I could be really, really aggressive. Because in all actuality, my play style is crazy aggressive. I'm like overly aggressive. So this is perfect for my play style. It did take me several games to realize that. I was being very, very cautious with it. And then once I started just unleashing my ability and just going in on everyone, I noticed I started releasing the actual potential of the paddle. When I was being soft and just playing the slow game, it did not benefit me the way I would want it to. So if you're an aggressive player, check out this paddle for sure. But yeah, until next time, stay safe, have a good day, drink plenty of water. Peace, y'all.